Joey, you like movies about gladiators?
Airplane is one of cinema's funniest comedies and features some of the genre's all-time performances.
How soon can you land?
I can't tell.
You can tell me, I'm a doctor.
But what if I told you that this legendary comedy featured almost no comedians?
We had a choice, steak or fish.
Yes, I remember I had lasagna.
In fact, when the filmmakers first pitched the film to studios, one of the biggest concerns was the cast itself.
They could be miles off course. That's impossible. They're on instruments.
At the time of its release, most comedies relied on actors to be funny, but nobody had really tried making a comedy without comedians before.
The casting was something completely new for comedy, doing a comedy without comedians.
A hospital, what is it?
It's a big building with patients, but that's not important right now.
And yet, those actors ended up creating one of the funniest movies ever made.
White courtesy phone, Captain Clarence over.
I've got it.
Thank you.
So what did they understand that so many other comedies didn't? Well, the answer starts with another film.
All I know is this. You're the only person on this plane who can possibly fly it.
Airplane was never an original story. It was nearly a shot-for-shot parody of the 1957 disaster film 0 Hour.
And we are leveled off.
What is your present heading, Stryker?
Copying everything from shot selection to dialogue.
Got to land as soon as we can. This woman has to be gotten to a hospital.
And we've got to land as soon as we can. This woman has to be gotten to a hospital.
And that detail was the key to the film's success, because at its core, Airplane wasn't built like a traditional comedy. Rather than make the actors funny, the goal was to make them believable.
I tell actors, let the lines do the work, so I don't want anybody to try to be funny.
Get that finger out of your ear. You don't know where that finger's been.
Everything, from the way the film was shot to the way the actors read their lines, was done exactly as if the film was real.
I just want to tell you both good luck. We're all counting on you.
Rather than create a comedy and then select the actors, they cast the film as though it was a serious disaster movie and then filled it with absurd humor.
It's an entirely different kind of flying, altogether.
It's an entirely different kind of flying.
But the humor would only work if the actors continued to act like they were in a serious film.
We never said play it straight. We always said pretend that you don't know you're in a comedy. And that's difficult.
Yes, birds too. Okay, he's a terrible risk, but what other choice have we got?
Especially when comedies at the time were utilizing fourth wall breaks and other techniques to signal to the audience that something was a joke.
Look! There's the old man from scene 24.
But Airplane did the exact opposite, and operated under the rule that neither the actors or the film could directly acknowledge the joke, regardless of how obvious it was.
Sometimes we do jokes in the foreground, sometimes it happens in the background. And he never acknowledges it, which is another rule called acknowledgement. You don't acknowledge the joke.
What the hell's going on up there?
It gave the audience the satisfaction of discovering the joke for themselves and forced them to pay even closer attention so they didn't miss the next one.
There's just no stopping in a white zone.
Oh, really, Vernon? Why pretend?
Take perhaps the most famous line in the entire film.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Nobody in this scene is performing the joke. There's no comedic expression or intentional delivery. In fact, if you remove the joke entirely, it still functions perfectly as a dramatic scene.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious.
Mr. Stryker's the only one.
And this holds true for nearly every joke in the film. Life and death decisions are discussed next to an inflatable autopilot, a woman dramatically hangs herself while another character keeps on talking, and pilots naturally create funny banter utilizing real call signs.
We have clearance, Clarence.
Roger. What's our vector, Victor?
But none of this was easy for the cast, whose inexperience in the genre made it difficult to remain serious in the face of such absurdity.
Lloyd Bridges was trying to make sense out of his dialogue and also playing it kind of winking in the rehearsals. And Stack finally said, Lloyd, they're not looking at us. Spears are hitting the wall. Watermelons are crashing in behind us. Just keep talking.
I picked the wrong week. Quit sniffing glue.
And since this type of comedy was a relatively new concept, it was a challenge faced by most of the cast. Even Leslie Nielsen struggled with the correct tone when he first arrived on set.
I remember Leslie Nielsen too was not quite did not quite have the cadence or get exactly what we were doing, and we had we sent him home with a tape of
the
Zero
guy from
Hour.
Zero, yeah.
And as soon as he saw that, he took that home one night, watched it, and he got exactly what we were doing.
And while it's easy to praise the performance of the actors, they're only half the reason the film is so funny. Because while they had to deliver lines with sincerity, it was up to the writing team to make it into a comedy.
Can you face some unpleasant facts?
No.
All right.
Writer David Zucker believed that the best way for a comedy to succeed was to keep the audience laughing.
It's easier to keep an audience laughing than to have them stop and start them up again. They should get on with it while the audience is still laughing.
It's like I picked the wrong week to quit drinking.
This meant that rather than pausing for recognition, Airplane kept the pacing fast by removing dead time after the joke, either by cutting away or immediately moving the story forward.
It's a big building with patience, but that's not important right now. Tell the captain I must speak to him.
Having less than a second between the punchline and the next sentence kept the actors in a natural cadence and allowed them to focus on the plot while the writing created the humor.
You ever seen a grown man naked?
Do you want me to check the weather, Clarence?
This is fundamentally different from how many modern comedies operate today, where the story is more of a framework and then comedians are brought in to create the humor through improv.
Stop screaming.
Oh, yeah, I ate a big red candle.
Entire scenes can be rewritten on set, and editors are left with the task of assembling the funniest jokes, causing many scenes to have awkward pacing.
Hope you checked to see there wasn't a body in the back.
I don't think so. I don't really know.
But Airplane couldn't do that because none of its cast were comedians. The comedy had to be there before the camera started rolling, which meant the writing had to do all the work. But not just for the humor, it also had to follow David Zucker's other rule, because no matter how funny a movie is, the audience still needs a reason to care about what happens next.
The story has to be a believable story between one or two humans that the audience gets involved in and has a rooting interest. The story's the thing that drives it.
I was on late duty one night when they brought in a badly wounded pilot from one of the raids.
Beneath all the chaos, Airplane has a surprisingly simple story, and it keeps to those story beats as the film goes on.
Dad, what are you doing here?
Elaine, I've got to talk to you.
Zucker believes that comedies need this believable story in order for the audience to have something to root for. The jokes may keep people laughing, but the story is what keeps them watching.
Now, I'm very proud.
No matter how ridiculous the film becomes, the goals never change. Ted has to win back Elaine, and the plane has to land. It's why Airplane manages to stay cohesive instead of feeling like a collection of sketches, which is something that modern parodies seem to forget.
Enough is enough.
If you look at any modern parody film, then you've probably noticed that they're actually just reference comedies, where the entire point of the film is to reference certain scenes from past movies.
Tell me, Mr. Bond, what is the account number?
Who the hell is Mr. Bond?
This meant that not only is the story incohesive, but it quickly becomes dated as certain references lose their humor.
Idiot. Hell no, I won't marry you. Gosh.
You would never understand why this scene was so funny unless you had watched the original movie.
What are you waiting for?
But Airplane parodied a structure, specifically the structure of a serious disaster film, meaning they kept the music, performances, and storytelling conventions of the entire genre.
But who didn't have fish for dinner?
The jokes don't depend on recognition. In fact, the majority of people who have seen Airplane haven't seen 0 Hour, and yet they still laugh because the joke isn't based on a reference, it's based on the genre.
First time.
No, I've been nervous lots of times.
This is why Airplane feels so fresh even after 40 years, because it proved something many comedies spend their runtime trying to avoid. If the actors aren't allowed to be funny, then the script has to be.
Trim, mixture, Wash, soak, rinse, spin.
It was a film that needed this specific type of performance, one where the actors treated everything completely real, and the comedy happened around them.
Let's get some pictures.
And it's why after 40 years, people still quote these lines. Not because they were said by a comedian, but because they weren't.
Flying a plane is no different than riding a bicycle. Just a lot harder to put baseball cards in the spokes.
I'm Luke.
I'm doing everything I can. And stop calling me Shirley.
Thanks for watching.
I don't have a thing to say. You've done the best you could.